Hey everybody. I'm assuming I'm live. Just let me know if I sound okay. I was going to Occult Fan, the reader, Think Green, thank you for joining me on such short notice. I was going to um talk about the Wetiko virus and the Mandela Effect. And it's so funny when you hey Angelia. What up, Mitch? So, just let me know if I sound okay. 88 Nectar, hello? Netter, sorry. So anyway, the point of the video is, me, I'm sick, the Wetiko virus and me. And as I started to do this, I'm looking at the Twitter feed just before I come on, and it says for a J.G. Ballard quote, our latent psychopathy is the last nature of reserve, a place of refuge for the endangered mind. So, in a way, with those words, when you take those words out of context for a change, and you kind of play with them and you think about a nature reserve, right? Thank you, Occult Fan. And you start to think about things like what I mentioned in the description about William Burroughs. He said two things: that the word is a virus, and I'm buffering. Do I sound okay now? So he said I'm going to assume I sound okay. So he said the word is a virus, and he talked about paying attention to the signs, paying attention to signs. And for those that don't know, the Watico virus is it's kind of a way in which it's been described in many different ways. Thanks, Jason. Many different ways, but more or less, it's kind of a spiritual sickness. It's a consumption of the spiritual soul and the mindset of the individual and the society that it needs to consume more and more. As it consumes more and more, it widens out. And as it widens out for what it's consumed, like let's say the size of a human body or a human soul, it widens out to that size of what it had to take in for that human soul. And not only does it have to consume to that size, it has to consume more in order just to maintain. Now, what does that sound like? Well, almost everything in our society that has to do with anything. Business, for one thing. You have to meet quarterly deadlines so your shareholders are pleased, and it goes on and on again. So you're not considered, successful unless you're growing. So, in that way, our entire existence is based off of something that resembles the Wetiko virus, but also too, the Wetiko virus is a way in which we it's a way in which we reflect our inner selves outward, and that becomes our reality. And this combines with a lot of the topics that I normally talk about in terms of the Mandela effect and things like quantum physics, and the way in which reality, it changes and moves whenever it's observed. And it's all starting to come together in a really strange and complicated way. Yeah, Occult Fan sounds like cancer, and it has been described as vampirism. That's right. That's right. It's exactly like that. And it's almost as if, and this almost sounds like New Age cheesy stuff, but you sort of create the reality that you want. You create the reality that is around you. And then once you come into contact with another being or a soul, together you create a reality together. And then once you have a group, you create a society, because it becomes a broader concept of a greater mirror reflection of all of our essences. So it's a very strange and bizarre concept, the idea that our understanding of reality as it's come in modernism is could be considered something that is viral. That's a virus, right? And I started to think about that. the Wetiko virus, and how it's considered where you're almost out of your mind, but you're out of your mind in a way that you don't know what you're actually doing. So when it's like you're in the they've described it, you're in the depths of your addiction, and you've begun the addiction to alleviate some sort of pain in the first place. But the pain from which that you're creating that new hunger that's evolved inside of you is now creating pain that is far worse than the original pain that started. And you'll consume and consume whatever it is that addiction is until the point of self-destruction. And this is something that is very much reflective in this society and within all of us, actually. And I started to think about this Watico virus, and it kept bugging me and bugging me and bugging me. And I started to think about how perfect it is. We assume this reality is, right? That the Mandela effect to some is so upsetting. It's so upsetting that things are changing that they literally can't handle it, right? So what if we have the Mandela effect could be the first signs of the fever breaking of the Watico virus in the macro and the micro sense. And whenever we look at the past and we can sort of see through it and we can see that it's moved and that it's changed, it's that seed of doubt of what you're experiencing is real. That's what the Mandela effect is, and that's what it represents. It's the seed of doubt of the reality that's presented around you as something that's real and something that's cohesive and coherent and whole. And that plays into that Watico virus and that pursuit and that hunger for everything that we all have around us. And think about that. You've always had passion and hunger, and you've had appetites that you couldn't quench, and it doesn't matter what they are, right? And you've always been in the pursuit. In fact, this society, particularly Western society, it's proud of that. It wants you. It's about the pursuit. They make commercials about the pursuit. It's about the acquisition. It's about the hunt. You see, it's about the kill. You see, not literal. Well, to some maybe, but that in itself kind of speaks towards the need to constantly fulfill whatever that is that gets fulfilled during the pursuit. That way you can erase and forget about anything about yourself whenever you're in that pursuit, whenever you're in that moment. Losing yourself. People are very fond of losing themselves. That's the allure of drugs and other substances, is that you can lose yourself. Give yourself over to it, to this reality, to this existence. But what if something has now happened where the fever is broken? And whether we like it or not, this virus of existence is starting to break down. And I've worked on this for 2 years. I've thought about this for 2 years. What is the Mandela effect? What is it? Why is it our reality that we thought was solid and unmovable in the macro sense can be changed now? And why is it every time now that I'm thinking about something, like that quote I just gave you from Ballard, it comes to me? Why is it that I see repeating numbers? Why do I experience the Mandela effect? Why do I know there are shifts coming? Why is the human body changing? Why is our earth changing? And despite all the ridicule that we get in real life, we don't give into it. In fact, now we don't bother anymore. At least I don't. I know a bunch of you don't either. And indeed, I tell people, if they're a new ME, to not proselytize. It's a spiritual thing. It's something very, very powerful. And it's something very frightening. So, what if this is the first step of that of that new beginning of understanding that indeed it was always this way. And I've always said that too, but I didn't quite have that key. I didn't have the key. I always said the past is coming alive, the past is malleable, the past in a way has a right to its own self-determinism, but I also contradicted myself in saying that there's nothing but the present. And perhaps understanding my own sickness in this, my own viral understanding of this broader representative reality that we all compete in. I would say that we're really competing in. That is that's really the key to this. And the key to understanding my own contradiction of professing there's only now, but acknowledging there was a past and that it's malleable. And it's so strange because I always complain about there's more profound, the particularly YouTube, but the internet, or the internet generally, and YouTube in particular, they seem to latch on to 3 or 4 different figures that have changed existence, reality, or the way in which we perceive it. And I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but I think William Burroughs and like Ballard, they need to start being they need to be considered, and they need to. Now I think we're far enough away from those authors that we can start to read their work now in a way that perhaps the generation experiencing the work, wasn't able to do. We're able to do that now, and it's very interesting. But the Wetiko virus, if you look into it and read into it, and the way it is vampirism, the way it wants to consume, the way it wants to, grow by any means necessary. It's reflective of everything, and I'm not going to say, like, it would be too easy to say it's simply Western society and capitalism. That's too easy because, I think, I don't know. I have to rethink everything, actually, because this is something so powerful to me. And this also plays into the Tartaria thing, this new mud flood thing that's going on. All of it's kind of coming unglued at one time. And I think it's probably a pretty good thing. And I think it's probably a pretty powerful thing that we're experiencing here. And I think when we have things like the Schumann resonance and it has a spike and we know a shift happens, when you're like really sick and it's about to break, but you're in the worst part of it and you're in that fever dream because you're so sick, right? You're in that strange fever dream, and you're about through it, but you're just at the worst part. That could be like where we're at potentially. And now everything is coming together, all these versions, all these, ideas of what makes reality reality. It's all coming together into this bizarre soup of existence. Somebody said, Lenny, that's it in a nutshell. Lenny always has some pretty profound things to say, so I'm going to check really quick on Lenny here. That's the past has to be malleable in order to get to your desired outcome. Absolutely. But Lenny, think about that. Even understanding that at this level 10 years ago would have been impossible because the past was something that was gone. 5 minutes ago was gone forever. And there was no way to change that. But now we know reality itself changes whenever it's being looked after. In an odd way, it's almost as if you're looking through a microscope at a virus, and whenever you put in something alien into the environment of the virus, it scatters, right? You see that always on TV about viruses. They'll move and they'll scatter and they'll avoid it. And you looking at the subatomic level at this viral reality in a really powerful way just shows what we are experiencing is now more malleable than we've ever even begun to understand. And perhaps so out of control, perhaps there was another reality that was so different than what we're experiencing now. Maybe it was 100 years ago, maybe it was 10 minutes ago, but we're all convinced that we're here right now. And up into this very moment, we're convinced that our own biographies are set in stone. Unless you're, really deep into Emmy, then you know that it's not really a thing. None of it's really a thing. So we're examining reality. We're examining this fever. And you know how reality has a lot of the properties of a fever is that things like the meme now, it can go viral, right? A meme can go viral. Well, the memes are from, it's from technology. It's from a technology point of view. It's just the way technology works now. And but where did technology come from? Where did the internet come from? It came from the imagination. This computer I'm looking at ultimately came from the imagination. And all of its circuits and everything else ultimately came from a set of things that I would say kind of look like sigils. And then they were charged, right, through the motherboard. And now we've created such a toxic reality that perhaps the Wetiko virus has expanded to the point to where the human being in our form is not enough. Now, perhaps the virus needs something bigger, right? So now we have become so much a part of this, perhaps we've been incorporated so deep into this that we have to start creating other things that can go viral themselves so it can be, it can be consumed for the energy, for the lunacy. It's like meta lunacy. That's what a meme when it goes viral. And it makes people either laugh or get angry or feel sad, or you create a meme to troll someone. You've created a sort of meta emotion. So that's energy that was created for a reason. And it can't be just for the purposes of the author. There has to be something more powerful that's going to benefit from that meme that we cannot see. We can't understand from that meme. SMQAI is full of cyanide. What does that mean, health and hygiene? I don't know who you are. Is that, well, what does that mean? Tell me what that means. Hey, Paul, what's going on, man? Hi, hey, Callie. Dan from the hills? Hello? Weed is full of cyanide. So you're saying that I'm a weed and I'm... Look up weed cyanide. Okay. All right. All right. Look, I'm tired of the word game. Are you not happy with me? Have I done something to displease you? Because I don't know who you are, health and hygiene. So just stop with the games and just let me know, because I really don't have time for it. I'm saying you smoke weed. Okay. I don't smoke weed. I don't. So you ramble about nothing. Well, everybody in the chat, do you think I'm rambling about nothing, or do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, I know Peggy. So, I'm honored to make a live chat. I don't know what that is. A live chat. To make a live chat, I'm along to remember what that is though. So, um, live chat. I'll go to live chat. There we go. I'm on live chat. Okay, is that what you were saying to go to live chat? Okay, cool. So, oh, I'm perfectly fine, health and hygiene. I'm incredibly confident. In fact, I'm so confident. My advice to you is to probably step this one out because I'm going to be really nice and not ban you. So that's my advice to you. So anyway, the Wetiko virus, and the Mandela effect. So, I think there's a connection there, and I think yeah, exactly. Anyway, so, you guys have thrown me off now. Not you guys, like in a bad way. Well, sort of with this new person, but you guys are awesome. You've got a lot of great ideas. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, okay. Well, you are out like forever. And yeah, report. Yeah. Oh, all right. Anyway, so what I was talking about. So I think everybody, if you look up the Watico virus, it's pretty interesting. The way in which it needs to consume it, the way it needs to move, the way it needs to do its thing. So I really think it's worth your time to look that up. I am so gonna ban this moron. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Whoa, how is it? Hey, YouTube, I blocked these people and this health and hygiene, and they are still able to get on my channel. I don't understand. Yeah, thank you, Angelia. Yeah, so we're hiding them. Okay. So anyway, the Watico virus and the Mandela effect. I think there's a lot of things there worth looking into. I think there's a lot of things worth checking out with that. Just the way we have to do consumption and the way in which um, reality at the subatomic level reacts to us. I think we start putting all of those things together, and I think we can start to understand how the two and two kind of work together. And the meme is involved with it as well. I mean, what is really this virus, this meme, this thing? I don't know. Because if you're in the Mandela effect long enough, what you begin to understand is that in a bad way, I suppose, you can't really trust everything around you that you see, and you know that it can change at any time. The good thing about it is that you start to get a deeper understanding of your reality, and in that way, it reacts to you in a very positive way. At least it does to me. And I think that if you're brave enough to stay in it and you're brave enough to keep looking into it, the synchronicities begin to outweigh, and then the messages begin to outweigh the fear. Because I have to admit to you, when I first found the Watico thing, it was scaring me as I read it. And it was talking about dreams and dreaming and the dreamer not knowing and the whole thing. And it was just coming to me. And it was just And then the idea about it being kind of like a soul virus or a soul cancer, and the way it has to just consume and consume and consume. And I started to think so much like, what if we've gotten to the point to where that consumption has become so greedy, it needs to be held up as beginning to break down, and that's us. We're the MEs that see that. We're the beginning of that, perhaps. I think that's a great possibility. And Paul, that's a great thing, man. To know reality, you must have the courage to question it. And reality is giving you all the clues you need. Reality changes whenever it's observed. Anything alive, like a virus, will change when anything in its environment is moved around, like even at observation level. There's this crazy idea I've heard before that as we get more advanced, and I'm grossly paraphrasing here, that more problems have to be created because there has to be a balance of pain and suffering versus joy, and that balance has to be maintained. And as we try to upend that balance, something else has to be thrown in our way on an individual level and the macro level. But remember, these kinds of things are communicated within that reality of this virus, of this Watico. And there are systems that make you live, that force you to live, to ensure that you can't look and question any of these things, to stay in absolute fear. And I've been open long enough to where, I will have a discussion with people and literally I will turn away and there'll be a commercial on or something will pass by me and it will be an either reference to that or there'll be a kind of a feeling that I get and I'll know to look and I'll see something that's either directly referenced to that or something that I had talked about before. And I'm getting to the point to where I'm having conversations in my dreams that are lucid enough that I can bring them back. It's so strange because before it's mostly gibberish. So how far is this reality going to bend before it breaks? Or how far are we willing to grow and consume before we're forced out of this reality? I don't mean death. I mean like pop out, like we're doing our own thing now and we can see reality for what it actually is. And again, I know it sounds cheesy. I know it sounds goofy, but like the veil falling and we can truly see reality for what it is. William Burroughs said, pay attention to the signs and that the word is a virus. And why it's a virus is that it's just like a meme, it passes through and it will evoke emotions in you. And that Watico here in the West is so big and so powerful that it needs to create this sort of metasphere of energy to feed off of us. And perhaps that's why the internet was created. Perhaps that's why technology is created. I've always had a sinking feeling that our understanding of technology and our understanding of the way in which we react with technology isn't what it seems. The entertainment factor of technology, I think, is a great facade and a perfect sheen for exactly how it is we work in and out with reality. Or technology, excuse me. Well, and reality. You know, the electromagnetic spectrum, how small it is. Dark matter. It's endless. So it goes on and on over and over again. But when a meme goes, viral, what it is, it's something that doesn't require a person to create emotion in people. And it can do it at a greater level than propaganda, which required posters back before computers. Maybe the Watico created the internet in order to say, okay, we've perfected propaganda in order to create these emotions that we feed off of. But that's not enough. We need to do it in a way because human beings just aren't enough. The Watico's gotten so big, it's just not enough. Feeding off people it's not enough. It's not enough. It needs more. And because it is a reflection of our worst parts and our best parts of our reality, it'll create, like I said, I talk about the muse, it'll pull down like Parsons did with the rockets. Everyone that dreamed that were signed sci-fi dreamers back in the early 20th century and late 19th century, we now are living in their sci-fi dream with computers, with laptops, with smartphones. And what is that purpose other than to be able to create something that's bigger than a human or a set of humans and can jump and leap from one human to a set of humans in a more like streamlined fashion and a more powerful fashion. And then when the meme is moving around and you see it and it makes you laugh or it makes you mad or it makes you sad, that was something that was artificially created and used up. This energy. Could you imagine if you could take all the energy that a human being expels from their body in terms of their emotion and turn that into some kind of fuel? Oftentimes people will say, well, yeah, that's the creative process, or that's the process from which people develop things like rockets. Well, I think there's something else deeper there. I think there's something else bigger there. So I was thrown off my game a little bit. Um, for the longest time, I took the policy of not responding and ignoring a lot of my critics. And I've done a bit of a pivot on those kinds of things now. Right, Paul. That's exactly what the machines did, the Matrix. And I am starting to engage more because I've recognized since I've been demonetized that I'm a small station or small channel, and there are other forces that are more powerful than I am that can do a mass report and take me down. So I'll begin to, and I've already begun. You've seen it. I'll begin to weed out people like that, like we did earlier, and hopefully, I don't want to be someone that intrudes on someone else's life or audience. And I don't want an audience that doesn't want me around. So if you're on the channel and you don't like what I'm doing, you are invited to leave. I know everybody in the live chat that I see and I recognize and I appreciate. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people who might listen or stay in the shadows that for some reason don't like me or what I have to say. But I have a right to say it. And I do everything within my power to say it in a way that wouldn't be offensive. And I do a lot of self-censorship. So, yeah, it is a lot like Monsters, Inc. So that's pretty much it for now. Um, Brian says, I don't think a rapture theory is super controversial here. It's a lot of Christians come to discussions like this one to stir up controversy and criticize others' beliefs. I'm not going to throw faith under the bus. I'll let you all talk about that on your own. And you know, I'm just gonna leave that there. I appreciate it and thank you, but I'm just gonna. But yes, Monsters Inc. is a great study. That's not a film. That's something. That's not a child's film. That's a study right there in fear. In each one of those characters, my nieces. I watched it with my nieces and nephews, and they were giggling, laughing. They loved it and stuff, and they'd seen it like 16, 17 times. And just a quick personal story before I leave, because of the threats I get and the amount, and it's cut down. I think YouTube has helped me in a lot of ways by demonetizing me. I didn't realize, it would cut down. It would make sure the traffic I have is truly people that care. It's so interesting in a way. It's like this double-edged sword. My traffic has dropped, but I rarely get people I dislike now. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll stay demonetized. Who knows? But so I'm watching Monsters Inc. with my niece and my nephew. One niece and one nephew. I have multiple. And I didn't want to watch the movie. And it was a cold day, and it was in Indianapolis. And it was cold, and Indianapolis is fine. I live on the East Coast, and I'll go to Indianapolis and I enjoy it, and like Broad Ripple and neighborhoods like that. But it was cold and it was gloomy out, so I was kind of down. But we were watching the movie, and I was just about halfway through the movie. I'm like, this is not just about this. Man, somebody should be doing and they may have done a YouTube video breakdown on this thing, man, because it was all about fear and what each character and then the kind of fears they represent. It was very powerful stuff, incredibly important. So I know that was meaningless gibberish. So anyway, check it out. The Wetiko virus, Mandela Effect. I think there could be a good connection with that. I think we should be right through that fever pretty soon here, and maybe we'll be on our way to a new reality, perhaps. But I don't know. So I'm not going to make any grand proclamations because I'm not a cult leader or something like that, where I'm going to make you all wear Nikes or something. So anyway, I'm jumping off. It was just a real quick one here. I got to get back to do what I do. So I appreciate it, you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.